No, you tell him. No. No. Hey guys, what's going on? How's everybody doing? It's great to see y'all. So, how is the evening treating everyone? We doing good? Can we hear me? Can we see me? Can we touch me? Feel me? Sorry, I just took a shower. My hair's still a little wet, so you know, gotta make sure I'm presentable. But yeah. How is the weather? I see that in Peru it's not wet, which seems less than optimal to me. I hope that it rains soon, Dr. Mazarov. Glad that you're here. What's going on, Fish Tropic Nano Aquarium guy? Elisa Sparkman, Donnie Wolf, Kevin, Patrick. Let's see, who else do we got in here? Thingamatorium, Rachel, Shanna. What's up, girl? Laura, what's up? We got Mark. Hey, mission accomplished. Delivering to Vinay or Color Guppies. That the eagle has landed. I got his PayPal info earlier and went through. Atkins, what's up? Nature Aquarium, Ian, what's up, man? How's it going? All right, so who else do we have in here? Pete, what's going on? K-Day, what up? Marv Luz, what's up? Marvelous. Is that intentional, or is your name really Marv Luz or Lou? Lewis, Lou, Marvelous. Anyways, Good Life Aquatics. Hello, how's everybody? All right, we're coming in good. That's good. I like to see that. Seth, welcome, welcome, welcome. All right, so first of all, not a ton is new here. Life is going, pretty much the same. We've got babies growing out all over the fish room because it's winter, and that's kind of what I like to do when winter comes, is to have, various projects and then fish. And then that way, after the Christmas / my birthday is coming up in January. So usually, I'll get a gift certificate, or someone will gift me some fish for my birthday or something locally. And then, usually that like February, March period is when it's like good to have some plants and fish to go sell to the local store so that I can, get more stuff on a budget essentially. So definitely raising those, and the little Venezuelan orange belly cories that we saw. Well, we've seen them the last few live streams, really, but they're doing really well. There's a lot of them. There's more than I expected there to be. They grew out at really, really different rates. This is the first time I've actually grown out either plecos or cory without a filter of any sort. And both of them are pretty prolific in the amount of waste they can produce. So it's an overplanted tank for sure. It's growing very quickly for sure. And I'm feeding them carefully. I've been feeding the Corridora very lightly, but regularly, and been giving them ground salmon meal, which is super high in protein. And then also the algae has been growing in that aquarium because the light on it just causes a lot of algae since it's on about 16 hours a day. But with, I don't know, 15 to 25 baby plecos that are only 2 months old. They're only like yay big. And then all the inch-long cory Venezuelana, they are there, and there's probably 20 plus of them, maybe 30. And then there's also the CPDs. So, and shrimp and snails. So everyone kind of eats off the bottom in that tank other than the CPDs, which is working out pretty well. But it's all been in a little bit of an experiment to see if I can do it without, skyrocketing the ammonia and nitrates. Typically, raising plecos or ancestris specifically ends up being a pretty futile attempt without lots of water changes because of how wasteful they are and how inefficient their digestive systems are. But that's all that's new with me, other than doing lots of research. Hey, Vinay, what's going up? Color Guppies, what's going on? Looney Lonnie, what's up? Monster Fish Gal, good to see you as well. Skipper, wow, we got lots of great folks in here tonight. So my thoughts were, and stop me if I'm wrong, people, but my thoughts were, why don't we go over some of the lesser known species of Danio, Badis, and maybe like Rasboras and anabantoid, so like African bushfish that are in the on the small side of things. There are a lot of these fish that just aren't in the hobby. Like Badis, there are about 27 recognized species and probably 5 to 7 new ones in the last 2 years that will be classified as new species. Now, I don't know if their taxonomy will end up for sure being near Badis or Dario's, but yeah, so I was thinking that's what we'd discuss, and I got myself a little list. I got myself some pictures and so forth, but that's what I thought we'd kind of cover. And if anybody has questions or other agendas and wants to hijack what we're doing, feel free to try, and if I see you, I will engage. But if I'm on a roll about something, you know, this multitasking, when you're on StreamYard, and I'm going to be pulling up images of these fish and their care profiles and stuff like that, and maybe some papers, it's a little bit hard to read the chat because I've got one chat on this screen, another chat on this screen down here, and then I've got what I'm doing here and all the windows and what's going on in here, which is basically like 8 squirrels chasing each other in a circle. So, yeah, I figured let's just jump in. Let's take a look and see. Now, to me, I was thinking that the fish that caught a lot of eyes, I've noticed, and who was it? Kaya, I think, or Arya. Who was it? I can't remember which person it was, but somebody posted in one of the aquarium groups on Facebook a picture, and let me pull that picture up real quick, of the anabantoid, the ornate bushfish from Africa, which I never see around here, but they are really cool. I think the Wet Spot has them from time to time, and I have seen them for sale online in other places. But I'm going to try sharing, since we're on StreamYard, we're going to try sharing the whole screen and not just the window. So we'll see what happens here. It's being a little slow, so let me just bear with the technology. It's funny, I pay for the technology and it gets substantially worse in how it functions. I don't know if that's just the way life goes sometimes, but oy vey. All right, let's get this shared. The blue Badis, the Dario, is a great Badis. You know, in the hobby in America, I'd love to know, for those of you, all you folks who are in other countries other than the U.S., or even just other parts of the U.S., if this statement doesn't hold true for you guys. We see the Myanmar, or sometimes called flame or fire Badis. We see the Scarlet Badis, or the Dario, the little blue chameleon Badis. And oh, really? Interesting. Dragon Lair says you can now order from the Wet Spot website. No longer have to call to wait. That is great, because you used to have to call and wait, and then like they'd call you back, send you an estimate. Usually things were out by the time they sent you the estimate, and then you send them money, and then they come back, and sometimes something else is off the list or on the list that wasn't. And yeah, it was just a bit of a process that felt antiquated. So that's great. I'm excited. That's exciting. Awesome. All right, let's see here. We are going to do Can we share? Well, we can share the entire screen. We'll try this real quick first. We'll see what happens. Okay, that's infinity. So we've got that. See if that like bogs down the computer. But here we go. Now you can see what silly ass games I have on here. Skateboarding with your fingers on the trackpad, and what else do I have in here? BMX with your 2 fingers as a bike. The rest is all graphic design stuff, basically. Any case, so this is the fish that I am talking about. It is a beautiful fish, and it only gets maybe 5 centimeters, 2.5 inches at max, 2 inches, 6 centimeters max. And it is really great. Hey, Father Fish, what's going on? Welcome, Lou. John Monroe, hey, good to see you. Also, Rehoboth Aquatics in Texas carries the Ornate. Oh, very cool. He imports exclusively from the Ivory Coast, Côte d'Ivoire. Very cool. That's a really tumultuous place to be importing from. I mean, has been from time to time. Right now it's fairly stable, but that's cool. I mean, Liberia, Côte d'Ivoire, and Sierra Leone are all kind of right next to each other, and they are really cool. They have really cool fish populations, especially killifish and other small little kind of flooded forest fish. But this is it right here. Aquarium Glazer, you know, they usually do a good job. I think this is just dragging when I do the whole screen, but we'll get there. How's the quality of the stream doing, guys? Is it okay as far as audio? I'm sure the video might be lagging. It's not granulated or pixelated, though, is it? It's just a matter of speed, I would hope. But yeah, these are really cool. I didn't click that, but that's also another really fun one, which is the spotted. Father Fish says blurry. Okay. Audio good, video good. Okay, so some people it's blurry and stuff. Beck's Fish Room. Okay, no worries. Hello. Just saying hello. It's all good. Thanks for saying hello. Richard McCarthy, what's going on, buddy? Yeah, video is crisp but a little bit laggy. Okay. Lady Diane, you are about 10 seconds behind your lips moving. Okay, that makes sense. Yes, it is touch grind. Yes, and it is. This computer is very old, so that's why I have it. You know, these bushfish from Africa in general, they come in a lot of varieties. This is another natural spotted variety, just from a different collection point. But some of them now, they're also breeding platinum and like 24 karat gold, basically leucistic and melanistic if they're the dark variety. But they're kind of cool. And you can see here, this used to be actually a fairly common fish in the hobby, even in the 1920s, that you'd see it on fish lists. And it used to be called the Anabass, Anabass sorgii. And now it is in the same grouping, basically, as like gouramis and bushfish and leaffish. Ray Cooper says, I'm getting a green neon rasbora. Can I power feed them to a bigger size beef heart? Can I add them to my silver tips? I wouldn't. They tend to be insectivores and algae, like picket algae. So they really are grazers. I mean, if you're going to feed them, I'd feed them very small amounts. Then they got very small mouths. So you want to kind of shred that up and spread it out throughout the day. Beef heart is extremely high in protein, but what I would recommend if you're in the U.S. is to get the fry food by Aquarium Co-op. Hold on. All right. So if you get the Aquarium Co-op fry food, this stuff here, you can get it in a big old bag. Let me pull back to StreamYard. Let me get this bigger all of a sudden too. Boy, that sharing that screen is just lagging us down so crazy so much. I wonder what's up with that. I'm even plugged into the internet too. I'm not wireless. But this thing, this Aquarium Co-op, focus on it. I guess it's, there we go, focus. So the fry food, and this stuff comes in a big old bag like this for, I think it's like 20 bucks for the bag that's a pound. But this is essentially leftover fish meal. And fish meal is the organs, the head, the tail, the stuff they don't sell to consumers, ground up. So it's from salmon, which is one of the highest in protein fish, lean fish that you'll find in the industry. Then it's got dried yeast, marine protein, spirulina, kelp, and vegetable products, fish oil, like cod liver oil, lecithin, which is essentially soy, calcium. It's like a soy or egg white protein, very similar in structure. Calcium, and then vitamins A, E, D, B, B12, and vitamin C, plus some amino acids. So, I mean, and it's 55% protein, and it's already in powder form. This stuff is killer for nano fish. This, I will just sprinkle this on top of every tank, even with big adult size, like gouramis and stuff. They'll nibble at it. But this is, to me, this is better than power feeding other stuff. I mean, Daphnia and probably, if you had Daphnia, Infusoria, vinegar eels, stuff like that, then you'd probably be able to power feed your nano fish quickly. But a lot of them are just not designed to grow that quickly. Some of them they're really in sync evolutionarily with their environment. And so it all has to do with the season. And a lot of them are designed to either be born right when the wet season starts, and so they diffuse as fry. The currents pick up as rain comes and all the little puddles and ponds expand. And so the ones that are born that way, a lot of them stay small so that they can hide and stay under the radar until they get to a place for a month to 3 months. And then they shoot off growing from 3 months to 6 months. And you can't do too much about that. I've noticed that with a lot of rasboras and Badis, honestly. So, yeah, that's kind of what I've noticed. But, Atkins, if you guys were here for the episode on Latin and Greek, the name microstenopoma, it makes sense. So yes, let's see here. But I mean, beef heart, great for angelfish and other things like that, but not the best for teeny tiny fish. I don't even know how well they break down those larger proteins of musculature from a larger source. Maybe if it's been rendered really well and broken down, but then I think you lose some of it. Mickey says, Dario, his genon, I've never known how to say that, if it's his genon or his genon, like a French way. But in any case, that's the one in the US that we usually don't even have a Latin name for. We call it the Malaysian, or sometimes the Burmese, which is really confusing and stupid. I wish we'd stop that. And then the Dario black tiger, which is sometimes called the black and red tiger. We have those three. And then we do have the Asamensis and the so let's look at those. Let's see if we can get it to lag less by not sharing the whole screen. I'm going to try something else. So let's get up Badis. fish. Yeah, okay. All right. Let's see how this goes. But there are, like I said, over 30 Badis, so it would sure be nice if they could start importing more of them, right, guys? All right, so let's see. Yeah, so a lot of people. This is an anecdote that you may have heard already, but I think it's fitting for tonight, and that is that a lot of people have a really hard time with the flagship species of the Badis, which is the Scarlet Badis. It's this guy right here with the red stripes and the blue pectoral fin, the iridescent blue on it, and then it's got silver on the body, silver around the eye, and then a big black pupil. Big long dorsal fin, and the caudal peduncle is kind of this short little section on its own, and then it's got a little fan of a tail and a really big anal fin there, all which is just beautiful. I mean, these fish are just stunning, but they don't get bigger than about an inch. And the other thing is they almost resemble a little cichlid. They're not at all related to cichlids, but I've frequently, and I've told folks this also, and I've heard reports of this from many people as well, that they raise their babies like cichlids frequently. And that is to say, they guard the nest until the eggs are free swimming, and they'll guard them while they're yolkies, and then they will allow them to be free swimming, and then the dad will start kind of chasing them away usually. That's the sign where I swoop in and pick them up. But sometimes I won't even know that they had kids, and I'll look in and I'll notice in a species-only tank that's maybe 5 gallons, but planted really well, and there's lots of hiding spots around the substrate, and I'll notice that there are 5 to 10 babies that have made it halfway to adulthood hanging out right with dad, and they all look like females. Well, as soon as you take them away from dad, they start getting their colors. But the reason we only see males in this group so much is because the way they are collected. And I showed a video a while back, but it was one that someone linked to me, and it was one I couldn't find just like Googling looking for it. But essentially, they go into ponds in India and Myanmar, Cambodia, and like you're off the Irrawaddy River is another big area where they collect them, or the Malabar region of India where pea puffers are from. And what they do is where it's flooded over the banks of the river and down into like the grasslands or the floodplains, it'll be only an inch to 5 inches or maybe 2 to 10 centimeters of water or something like that, 2 to 15 centimeters of water. And all of a sudden, you'll see it's been sitting for a long time, and the water gets very warm, which is interesting because they're also a fish that on paper, they can withstand cool temperatures and semi-warm temperatures. But the video I see in India, they're sitting in water maybe 2 to 3 inches deep, and they're in the blistering sun. So I have to believe that water gets really hot. But in any case, so they have nests. They're very much like perch or sunfish or elastomas. If you've seen elastoma, the Gulf pygmy, Gulf Coast pygmy, or the Everglades pygmy sunfish, which are beautiful fish, great fish, highly recommend them also. They're very similar in their build and in their markings. And I mean, honestly, some of the like the Dario, Dario, this guy looks like, I mean, at a glance, size-wise and everything, you might think, oh, it's an Everglade pygmy sunfish. I mean, I've mixed them up when they're juveniles in the aquarium because I've had them in the same tank because I didn't see the babies, and then I switched tank stuff. But in any case, so, and I'd love to know more about like why they're so similar, if it's just convergent evolution or if there is some interesting other link way back. I haven't really looked into that. But these guys, the Scarlet Badis, They are the one that everybody knows, and they're bright red. And so in that water that's a couple inches deep, it's usually young boys and girls. They come out from their villages and they use these big dip nets, and they stand and they have like about an 11-foot bamboo pole, and they can go and reach these fish. Well, when they reach for it, the little male Badis, these guys, if you've had them, you know they think that they are Godzilla, even though they're like an inch long. And they'll come out and puff up, and they'll guard their nest. They'll guard their little territory of, say, 6 inches by 6 inches. Whereas the females, and there may be 2, 3, 4, 5 females with a male sometimes, especially if he's real good looking and a very good dancer and swimmer, they'll hit the deck. They'll go into the muddy areas and into the flooded grass fields. And so just by the nature of collecting them, the males and their more outgoing and aggressive behavior causes way more males to be caught than females. Beyond all that, we've talked a lot on my channel because I was breeding these for the last, I don't know, 6 years I've bred these. And I was working on hybridizing the red and black with then the Scarlet, as well as with the Myanmar, which still doesn't have a Latin name. The other Myanmar one, which sometimes they're calling it the Flame or the Fire. But it's just kind of interesting. Father Fish says, I catch Elasoma in half an inch of water. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't surprise me. Like, basically enough water so that their gills are covered is all they need. And I guess makes them a really versatile fish. Atkins. So what's up, Ian? How's the select hybrid Badis doing? Well, there's a male. That's what I'm going to say about that. Let's just say I'm glad I didn't share with the general public, because that male who has hybridized, I can't remember what the vigor, I guess they call it. Hybridization vigor is what they call it. And that means that some animals, when you cross them together, two species, they are less of an imposing creature. Well, others are more. So like a lion and a tiger, when they have a baby together in captivity, that thing is huge. It has the frame of a lion, but on, or I should say it has the musculature of a lion, but on a tiger. So it has that big breast and strong frontal arms and neck muscles more so than the tiger. But it's as big as a tiger. And so the same thing clearly happened when I crossed the slightly larger Myanmar flame Badis with the Scarlet Badis. But this thing was a killer. I mean, he killed 2 males that were with him and a female. And then I tried to introduce him to a female and a female, and he killed them one after the other. And females are hard to come by, obviously, because you have to wait a long time. Even if you're breeding them and you've got the ratio, which usually I've noticed is about 40% female and 60% male when you breed them at home. Once you do know, okay, I have a female, and once you do breeding where it's species only, you've got lots of planaria and, or not planaria, lots of paramecium and infusoria and scuds and seed shrimp in a well-planted tank with lots of little sticks and hiding spots and little stones and pebbles. And in a little 5 or 10 gallon, even in a 2.5 gallon, they'll happily spawn in there. In a 2.5, the male will claim the whole tank. But in a 5 or a 10, they'll kind of just usually pick a corner and call it theirs. And if you leave the lights down low and you give food for their babies, they will have babies. And it's pretty easy to get them to do so. But until they've done it multiple times, they will also hunt and eat their babies. So that whole cichlid-like thing, that is not a given. That kind of develops over time, and not every one of them will get it. It takes a few times for that to happen. But yes, the the guy I made, and I took pictures of it, shared it on the community tab, and I have video of him and everything. I mean, he's still right next to me, but he's killed all. I don't have any females right now. I bought 3 Badis, and I'm hoping that I do have 2 females out of the ones I bought, especially going through, like, I had a guy order 200, and I got first dibs to look through them before they were publicly listed at his store. And we think we got 2 females, but I have to separate them all and wait a few months to know for sure if they're going to be females. But these in studies, remember, have been also shown to switch gender. Almost always, though, it's female to male, which is just so odd evolutionarily. They need to know more about that. Alexander Engelhart, what is going on, my friend? Glad to see you. Bob Purcell, good to see you as well. Geek Boy, Too Cooley for Schooly. Stephen P, 2003, good to see you. Craig, we got lots of folks who snuck in on me, but love seeing everybody. All right, so that's the first little story of why we only see so many males. The second piece to that puzzle is that there are a ton of sneaker males because that aggression is so strong that evolutionarily it really makes sense to look more like, let's see if they've got any. A lot of times online when they say quote unquote female, like here, they'll list this as a female frequently. And you're like, that's in no way a female. The females have 0 red on them. The females have blue banding where the red is, like blue, and then like a gunmetal gray or like a dusty silver. And then on the top, they have no iridescence. They have some on their caudal peduncle, and then they have a slight blue iridescence, not this strong, but on their what would you call them? I guess pectoral. I can't remember what you call those. Are those ventral flares or doctor, give me the news. I got a Badis case of what are those blue. They're not quite feelers, but they're attached to the fin and they're long things, just like angelfish get them. They're like those flared out fin extensions, rays, maybe fin rays. Any case, I'll have to brush up on what the hell they're called. Sorry, guys. And then, so then this is the Badis. So the Dario is the Scarlet Badis. The Badis is the blue chameleon Badis. We have these frequently in the U.S., but there's a lot of talk that these are 2 different species because check out how different they can look. So they can look like that. I mean, that is in mating mode, obviously, and a fully mature one, but it's pretty darn different looking than the quote-unquote chameleon ones. And some people call them blue, some people call them chameleon, but some turn this color and the red shows up more with a white on it, and it's almost like a greenish blue, like a mold color. And I think that is I don't know. I'm just skeptical. Yeah, here's somebody else showed 3 of the males from different collection points or strains. And I guess it could be that captivity's done this, but to me, these look like they could be different species. And to the scientists Wong, Fu, and Young, who have done a lot of the naming and discovering in Southeast Asia of these micro Danios and micro Badis and things like that, and carplets, they also had that same thought. So yeah, it does look like an Episto. And so then there's this one, which I never get to see, but I love this one, which is Badis ruber. And remember, ruber in Latin meaning red. So it's just funny that they've given him Scarlet Badis, Badis ruber, fire, flame, like they're all just different words for red usually. Crimson, but this is Badis Bermancus. I can Latin never flows off my tongue. But these ones are kind of interesting in that they look like a licorice gourami more so than a little Badis. But they've got blue jewel, like turquoise or blue jewel striping down their sides. And they're very, very nice looking. Yeah, they're really cool. And we'll look for some specific ones in a sec, but I'm just looking to see which ones pop up easily here so we don't have to like pop up a whole new window and take the time to freeze or whatever. But let's see here. So here's another Badis Ruber when it's not colored up, though. They are very drab when they're not excited, and I think that's probably why they're not that popular, honestly. But, and that's kind of true with a lot of the Badis, honestly. Why is this an ad? That is a terrible, terrible picture for an ad. So here's another, oh, dang it. What just happened? Hold on, guys. So here's another, the wet spot carries this. Now, this is what's confusing. So everybody has probably seen the red and black tiger Badis or the black tiger Badis. Well, this is Badis Kiar, and that is a word from the Khmer Empire, and it is out of Cambodia, like Angkor Wat and the Khmer Rouge and all that history. But these guys are completely different looking. They have a different head structure. They have like kind of a big bullet round head. They do have that nice, their dorsal fin has the kind of apisto or crebensis or nanochromis shape where males have a point and females it's more up and down and then rounded and less of a, it doesn't look like the fins were cut out of, like the tail fin doesn't nest into the anal fin and the dorsal fin as well, if that makes any sense. Mainsail fins and furs, what's going on? Good to see you, Jess. Like to say that I've been tuning in the mornings. It's been fun to do the segments. So for members too, I've also been sharing a week's worth of the news briefs after the fact on my community tab, putting a link up to any members for only $1.99 a month. You get access to that, and then any background research I'm doing and stuff like that. So yeah, but check that out because she does an episode that's anywhere from 2 to 7 minutes, and it's just fish news every day of the week that she does her show publicly. And I'm taking my favorite tidbits or episodes, and instead of doing fish news at the end of the month, where there's too many stories to cover, this lets me get more of them. And I still will probably do fish news as an episode, but it may now no longer be needed if we have enough members that are tuning in. But yeah, she's got it on the mornings, 10 a.m. East Coast time, 7 a.m. West Coast time, on mains, tails, fins, and fur and fins. Let's see here. Mazeral, you're saying, I've collected many times in Cambodia, never was able to find any of them. I hear that from a lot of people, and I think a lot of them must be very location specific. So this is a, I don't know what this nonsense is about a cichlid species. That's not correct. But this is a Buxer or Buxer Badis. It's the Chinese X. A guy with the last name Wong was the one who discovered this not that long ago, 3 years ago maybe. But it's odd that Arizona Gardens is carrying, or Arizona Aquatic Garden, yeah, that's Arizona Gardens, is carrying them, or was at one point. It surprises me. But this is another one that's not popular, and you can see why. It's a little bigger than the Scarlet Badis. I think it's still a very interesting fish. It's got kind of cool patterns on it, little Space Invader pattern or something. And then its fins are very delicately, the way it fractals off into a V, and then that turns into a V, and then that even turns into a V. It just, I think it's really delicate and neat looking. Yeah. So let's see here. Mick says, I'm not 100% sure Badis species will thrive if temp is too high. Many of these species live high up in river systems in the Himalayas, cold water downstream. Yeah, it's true. And online, it's not listed that they will survive hot weather, like 85 tops kind of thing. And oddly enough, that though where they collect them in like Cambodia and stuff, some of those spots, they're down low near sea level. And by the way, this is Badis Britzii or Britzii. And it's not a great picture, but I hadn't ever seen a picture of this one. So I pulled it up because, oh, that's interesting. It's in the Bangalore. So it's in the Indian, it's in a newspaper of India, what discovered in the Western Ghats Mountains. So yeah, that if we go to enhance, I don't want to lose this page because we've also actually got Badis autumnum, which is another one. I mean, these, they get very hard to tell the difference between, but you can see when you look closely, like there's not the Space Invader look pattern, but there is a black dot up here. So some of the Badis I don't think are going to ever take off as in the hobby, honestly. But they are finding new ones all the time, and it's because the locals, why would they know or care about these fish? Honestly, I mean, that sounds mean or I don't know what it just, but they're an inch long, and they may have 200 species of fish in Cambodia in the river, and maybe kids catch these and play with them or something, but they're not of big use. They don't have a cultural importance, really. So, yeah. Lisa from KG Tropicals, what's going on? How are you doing, my friend? Good to see you. And then let's see here. Anybody else pop in while I wasn't looking away? And thank you, mods. Thank you, Lori. I appreciate your work as always. Throwing links up and all that stuff. Lady Diana, I saw you too. Big Dub62, what's going on? Yeah, same thing with minnows in the US or darters for that matter. Do you guys know how many darters there are? They're in the Axelrod like Bible of fish that could potentially be kept in aquaria. There are probably 20% of the book is darters and daces and minnows and fish from North America that your average person could not tell you the difference of. And if you go to NANFA or the North American Native Fish website, Facebook, it's very active. It's a great spot to check out. But a lot of those people can't tell the difference between them when their like PhD is in, you know, daces, like the Nooksack speckled dace versus the Olympia mud dace versus the Columbia River dace. They all look the same. I mean, I'm sorry, they do. So now, though, with genetics, we're really getting some interesting treats. But again, here's another one of the Britzy from that same Bangalore Mirror article. But the Western Ghats Mountain are really interesting. And I mean, that's where these guys come from originally anyways. The Badis and the Scarlet Badis also comes from there. The black and red tiger Badis, let's see if we can get that one up, which there are two of. This is the one that I like the most. It looks like the American flag to me almost. And this one is the one in the US that's being sold frequently without a name, a Latin name, other than Myanmar. That's the name, black and red tiger Myanmar. And there are three that look like very similar. Now, the difference between the three species, from what I've gathered that they've just discovered, is one, you see these little dots on the head, and then there's kind of like a maze pattern, almost like a Trilineatus cori or a Julii cori would have. That doesn't exist in one of them. Otherwise, it's almost the identical fish. Like it is the identical fish. So that's a different genetic grouping found in a different river system, but it looks very similar. And that one's found in Thailand and Malaysia, whereas this red and black tiger is found up in Myanmar, northern Myanmar, and up in the Lake Inle region. And also it's found, the interesting thing is it's found over the 3,000 meter mountain range in the Irrawaddy River over on the Bangladeshi border. So it's in two pretty disparate river systems, which I find pretty interesting. So it's probably a very old species, or humans somehow picked it up, or it got in the bilge of water in a boat and got, you know, sprayed out, something like that. All right, let's look up a couple more cool ones real quick here, and then we'll be rocking. Wow, thank you so much as per always. Hey Visine, by the way. Alexander, I really appreciate that. It does make a huge difference. Those super chats are a atomic super chat. You'll need to sell me some of your Velociraptor Badis when you find a mate that can stand up to it. Great information tonight. Well, I'm glad you're enjoying it. I wasn't sure if anybody cared about Badis and little Danios like I do, but it sounds like we're getting along okay tonight. So yeah, I really appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah, Dr. Pepper. All right, let's see here. So let me get, I had a list assembled that is the latest. As of November, I had a list of all the Badis species that have been discovered and not even given Latin names. And I had a couple links that I was going to throw out, or that we were going to look at. Let me pull that up. I've been harping on Aquatic Arts to buy some of these ones that don't have any name Latin-wise. But we'll be going over Danios for the second part of this stream, because there are a lot of Danios and some interesting ones out there at that. Okay, so there are a few new, very new Badis, and we're going to see if the images are available yet. So let me paste these in. And I haven't ever heard anyone say these names. Yeah, okay, this one's homely as hell. Just no other way to say it. Look at this one. Looks like it's been put through the blender. Looks like it's been sitting in formaldehyde for a freaking month before. But this is a new Badis in Assam, India. Here we go. There's a map right there. Assam, Meghalaya, and then we've got the Brahmapura River is the system it's on, right there. And this is the collection point in the center. So yeah. But these guys, I guess there's something enduring about this one. But the way I've seen them is with this weird milky eye. And I don't know what the deal is with that, why they have that freaky eye. But yeah, so there we go. There's one in full spawning garb in the same article. That article I posted a while back, but I'm glad that that they've got some pictures up now, like that Google's been putting the pictures in. Yeah, here we go. Here's actually, looks like it's in Russian, but it's the same article, which was, a lot of these are in Chinese initially, so I'll have to Google it. And there's a Chopre Danio. Yeah, this is the same article. Good. So it's drawing from legitimate sources. Happy to see that. Okay, so let's pull up a few more of these rare Badis newly discovered. That one was first discovered in 2016 by Choudhury, Sarma, and Vishwantha. are the professors' names. Then we've got one that was discovered in 2010, and it is going to be Badis Pamia or Pama. And let's see what we can get on this one, if anything, right now. And I have got filters. Yeah, so see, this is one that will not ever make it to the hobby. And this is when it didn't even have a name yet. 2015, when it was being named after the professors, ichthyologists that found it. But I think that could be a very subtly beautiful fish. But clearly the aperture and the settings and everything are just right on that photo so that you can see the subtle yellow and the greens and the teal and the tiger striping. What it's probably going to look like is this, honestly. Yeah. Denang, thank you so much. $5 super chat. I appreciate it, brother. This is all new and interesting to me. Keep it up, man. Yeah, no problem. No problem whatsoever. That is a preserved species. Oh, well, that makes sense then. If we go back, that doesn't surprise me then. If that one picture was a preserved specimen of the same fish, yeah, this one. Yeah, that is the preserved one. But I'm saying, I was joking still that this one doesn't look that much better in the little picture. When you can see the character in its eye, like that it's this cute little fish, its eye is kind of cute. But yeah, that one is preserved. I see what you're saying. So that's one. And then we've also got, there's the Badis siamensis, which is really boring. It looks like all these other ones we've seen. But then there's Singarensis, and that's that one is about 10 years old, if I recall. And it never made it to the hobby outside of Southeast Asia. But let's take a look at it. Now, this one is really nice looking. I mean, Aquarium Glazer got it, but what don't they have? Those jerks get everything. So, yeah, these guys I think look really cool. These used to be called, yeah, they used to be Badis Buxar, and then they reclassified them. And these guys, I love these. I want these. They got a black dot up here on their dorsal. On their caudal peduncle, they've got 3 black dots. And then they've got 3 large bands that are each 2 separate bands. And they go from black to blue or purple and then down to red. It's so cool. And then it's like discus where you get the pigeon blood where it overlaps patterns. Really, really cool. Oh yeah, bye K-Day, have a good one. Some Potato, what's up? Marv Lou, your CPD fry just hatched. Well, congrats, that's awesome. That is awesome. All right, so yeah, and here's this same fish, not colored up for spawning. This is an older picture when it was called Buxar or Buxar, however you say that, Buxar. All right, we'll do a couple more and then we'll hop on to Danios because they've made a lot of discoveries of Danios lately too. Now, a big reason for this, if you haven't watched my conflict series or my videos on CPDs and the history of where they come from and how they're only from 2006 is when Celestial Pearl Danios made their appearance on the scene in the world, pretty much. It's because Myanmar had a military junta that controlled everything. And it made for a place that was far too dangerous to go to as a Western person. And if you could go there, you really had to get in and out and have a minder and all this, or you were honestly a black market dealer of some sort, and you were not going to be bringing fish out. You know, it takes 5 or 6 days once you get off the main river of traveling by foot and by ATV, motorcycle, you know, all road, off-road vehicles, and walking, you know, climbing up a ladder, up a cliff, and then to the next point. I mean, it's pretty crazy. There's spots there in the Golden Triangle, as they call it, on the Laos, Thai, and Myanmar border, with China to the north of that too. There are areas that are so remote that they've dropped like jeeps by helicopter and things that are from like World War II, and none have come since then. They're just stuck there, you know, all the way in some obscure spot where they were delivered. So then we've got the Badis, the Tuvei, and this one again, kind of boring. You could see where this one, with these spots, it doesn't have the 3 spots on the caudal peduncle region, but you could see with the faint stripes where this could easily be mistaken for that other one, maybe a female or just a different one. While it popped up, this is another one that won't ever be in the hobby, but the Badis Piema, very plain, I guess, unfortunately. I still think these are cool. I'd still gladly keep these. And then we've got this one. I'm not sure what it is. We're not gonna call that anything because I don't have enough. It has 3 names listed next to it. Hold on. But this guy here, Stefan van der Voort, he's a Dutch guy, obviously. Or he's either Dutch or South African, but I happen to know he's Dutch, Danish. And this one's named after the Ferrari. Isn't that great? The Ferrarzai, the Badis Ferrarzai, and it's got purple spots all down the side. And I think it has 11 or 12, something like that. But there's another one that's very similar. There's another blue one. This is going to be Badis again, obviously. But there is another one where you have counting the stripes is important. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 or 10. Yeah, the difference between 9 and 15 seems to be like they're all in that range with the striping. Now there's another Badis, and I've seen this picture. It always comes up when I'm searching new stuff. I don't know what this one is, but it looks like an Episto to me. Its eyes look a little off, almost like a gourami with that little mouth, and with it's got slack like it's a mouth brooder almost. It's got a skin flap here under its chin. I've seen a few pictures of this one, and I'm trying to figure out which one that is. If anybody knows, I would love to know. Let's see. I mean, yeah, I don't know. I don't know what that one is, but I really like that one. It's really interesting. So there's also the ones that are not Badis. There's all the Dario ones. So we're gonna end on the Dario ones. And there's the Dario Europes, another very bland looking fish. Again, it's got spot, very little ornamentation or lining or anything like that. And again, here's another picture. So you can see why these ones aren't knocking anyone's socks off, aren't in the trade. But I still think that it's interesting that we're just, I mean, because it's boring, nobody bothered to notate like, hey, look, this fish is next to all these other ones that you guys claim to love or whatnot. And then we've the other one that the Vandervoort. He's probably the most prolific. Either Vandervoort or Britz is the other. Britz is the other ichthyologist. They're probably the most prolific for finding small Southeast Asian and Central or Indian subcontinent fish. So here is another one. I've seen this one actually at the wet spot. And this is the West Bengal Badis. It's bigger though. It's like 2 inches. So this is the biggest one that I've seen probably. My favorite, Craig, probably the Higgins, the Higgs. What is it? The Dario Higginsoni. Is that how you say it? Hold on, I'll pull it up. Oh shoot. And I had another thing that I was trying to use also, but I can't find it right this second. Sorry guys, I'm looking through my notes as we do this because these are one of my favorite fish in general. So I've done a lot of noodling around online and looking for anything that's new. But this is another really popular one that was mentioned earlier by Mick. This one can look straight up like an apisto in my mind. The Assamensis, named after the Assam region. Really cool. Let's just try Dario Hig or Hiskinen that I was talking about earlier, which is the tiger one. But it's instead of black, there's a blue variety. And instead of calling it the black tiger, there is a blue one that's coming out of Myanmar right now. And I've seen it twice locally. And I think it's just because I'm lucky and on the West Coast. But check out how these can look pretty darn different. Granted, the striping gets a lot darker, but you can have that dark with, like we saw, the dots and the little maze pattern in that. Or you can have all the way down to like this plain with no stripes. And so there again is another, the females, this is what the females, yeah, there you go. The females, I think the females are prettier in a way. They're brighter, that's for sure. But so that's the black tiger, supposedly, but that's not the same as the one with the dots on the head, which this is a male in combat with another male. But yeah, they can look real boring. So no shade, but all right, have a good one, Rachel. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, they're a really nice one. Let's see here. Another newer one that was found recently is Coracasis, I think is how you say it. And this one's another one of the larger ones. Again, you can see not a ton to write home about, but it's got the black striping at the back. And when we were talking about that ornate tail, this one sure has a cool ornate tail that when it spawns, yeah, here's the picture. When it spawns, it looks incredible, but I hear this is only for like a day at a time. But you can get an idea with the pebbles and stuff. Yeah, here's another spawning one. So that's the Badis Coracaeus. We'll do one more, and then we'll move on to the little Danionellas and Danios. Let's find. I was going to show you guys the most recently discovered one. Well, we've got that one, but sorry guys, I'm chronically a self talker, talking to myself. Again, Brits was the ichthyologist who discovered this. First in 2002, then they didn't write anything about it, and later they wrote about it again. But this is a purple one, and with the yellow, that's not the right one. Aquarium glazer, stop leading me astray. There we go. There's the right one. But it, yeah, and it looks like it's got a shadow over it. And it may have a slight one over the whole fish, but that's the way it kind of looks, is like dark, like that on the whole thing. So I mean, I think that what tank should you put your dwarf petricola catfish in once you have them full grown? I think a 40 gallon's great. A 30 long works. You could keep a few of them. Like if you have 5 and you just had some tetras, you could get away with a 20 long, but I don't recommend that. They also seem to like a little bit of flow, and they love sand to dig in, and they like live food and worms and things like that, as well as some algae and things like that. So I would put them in like a 40 long and get yourself some interesting like buffalo head cichlids or fire ember barbs from Africa that live with them, or maybe some crebensis or something like that. They're pretty laid back fish. That's what I would say. Tank baits for 12 rainbow sharks. Ray, I don't know what kind of tank you have. Badis tend to be very aggressive about their territory. However, a lot of them they'll do what are called false charges or posturing or jousting. Different papers call it different things, but the fish actually, I did a video on fish locomotion in fry, and fish actually have like a set distance of how far they will charge on average when they have either babies or food or a mate, when they have something important that they're guarding or a territory that they call theirs. And these little guys, you know, it's proportional to size, and these little guys won't go so far. This will be the last one I show you guys, but that aquarium glazer, that's the right picture. Interesting, different look. Look at that high hump. It's almost like, is it going to have a nuchal hump when it's spawning? No. But yeah, definitely more of a chana or a perch or something like that look to it. But it's got purple dots and then turquoise and blue and then orange and then gold and yellow. Really interesting fish. Really beautiful fish. All right, you have a good night or morning or whatever the heck it is. I don't know what time zone you're in, actually, Dr. Mazerall, but 11:40 p.m. You have to get up in 6 hours. Well, good luck, and as always, good to see you in here. Always great to hear your 4 cents. Adds a lot more to my 2 cents. There's a lot of you in here. Mick, I know with the pistos, I can always count on you too. So, yeah, a lot of you guys help straighten me out. Yes, Badis definitely do eat a lot of shrimp. In fact, that's one of the tricks I use to spawn them, is I put them in with Malawa shrimps, which reproduce very quickly, and that really helps me keep them growing quickly. Yes, Mick, you're right. You ruin your chances of spawning petricolas if you put them in with other things like fry, cribs, and cichlids. Yeah, that's true. I don't know what your aims are, but I was thinking more biotope or community tank. But if you're trying to spawn them, probably on their own is fine. But a 40 breeder is more ideal. They can cruise quite a bit, and they like it pretty dim from what I've seen. But you do the false wet season thing where you slowly raise the TDS and you drop the water level and let the TDS increase just by default as evaporation happens. And then the fish can actually feel how much pressure is on them. And you feed them less and less live food and more like pellets and things. And then right before you're ready to add cold water, you give them lots of live, high-protein food, like baby brine shrimp or any sort of the worms, you know, and then you'll change the water about 10 degrees colder, 15 degrees colder Fahrenheit. And the difference there should be 5 to 8 degrees Fahrenheit cooler when it equals out, but you'll do like a 50% water change or even like a 60 or 70% water change. And that's often the way to do it. But they can withstand a lot harder water, petricola species, than other catfish too. So they're a little different. You don't want to crash the water by any means. Oh yeah, Richard says, not sure if it was mentioned, but scarlet badis happily eat pest snails. Yeah, they'll eat the baby pest snails for sure. They definitely do. All right, so moving on, I wanted to talk about some of the more recently found Danianellas. These fish, they thought were all the same. And as you can see up close, they're not all the same. This one, I mean, some of these are incredibly small. Like full grown is 0.28 inches on the smallest one. The Danianella Dracula is pretty famous. This one gets to about a ½ inch, but it's mostly see-through. It doesn't even have room on it for chromatophore pigmentation. It's kind of interesting. Yeah, no, I agree, Richard. They're nice in that they eat the young snails. They can't take on a big snail, but if you crush snails, they'll come and munch whatever they can left off of them. But the little snails, right after they hatch, when they have a soft shell still, that's what they're going to eat. Yeah. Okay, so Danianellas. Now, the other thing, the reason they call them Dracula, here there's a 3D scan of them. They've got those little teeth that look like Dracula fangs. No idea what those little teeth are for. I've read a few articles, and so this is a new species discovered in Myanmar, and very similar, different coloring though. I mean, it's a different fish. I don't know how they thought this was all the same fish. This is the cerebrum. What is it? Cerebrum. That's like brain, and it's because you can see the freaking thing's brain, or the little dot that is its brain. But yeah, these ones are interesting. They have an orange dot in their gut. I thought that picture was like something special, like it just had eaten that. But then there's also Danianella translucida, which are these little Danianellas. And these are all Danianella. So Nella, or Ella, E-L-L-A, is modern Italian or late Latin, and it just means diminutive or small. And so they're already being named something small, like dwarf, Danio, something, Danianella oftentimes. But now we're getting into the fish that are the smallest vertebrates in the world. All of these fish are. Danianella priapus, that's another one. And Xanadudu says, Badis just jumped on top of my wish list over Epistos, maybe. Even over rainbows? Well, you know, the thing about the little Badis is if you don't care about spawning them, you can keep them in community tanks. And I've done so pretty well. They actually do okay with pea puffers, I've noticed, because they both kind of hold their own and think they're like the toughest thing ever. And they do well with sparkling gouramis. They do well with Elosoma, but Elosoma like cooler temperatures. So you have to get one of the Badis that's from a cooler temperature. Yeah. Now there's another not just Danianellas, but the African dwarf ember barb. These guys, I have a tank of these, and I've had them for over 8 months now, trying to get them to spawn with no luck. If anybody has ever spawned these, this would be the smallest fish I've spawned, if possible. I mean, if I succeed. Yeah, I mean, any fish that hangs out upper water to mid water is probably not going to bug your Badis too much. Badis almost always hang out at the bottom. But these guys are actually really pretty. They have a golden color to them. dansfish.com, look who popped up. He might even have a little blurb about them. Yeah, so these are West African. They're half an inch. Their max size is 3/4 of an inch for the males, half inch for the females. They're from West and Central Africa. They come from slow-moving streams and tend to have high tannins, high acidity. An extremely peaceful fish because of its small size. Work great in an aquascape tank. These are Dan's from Dan's Fish. This is his quotes. While it is a peaceful fish because of its small, it is best not to keep in a community tank because larger fish, despite being calm and peaceful, may make it out for a tasty treat for your other community fish. And this is Barboides gracilis, and they are schooling fish, and they're kept usually in groups of 6+. I've got a group of 9 right now, but I haven't gotten them to spawn yet, and I really wish they would. So if anybody has gotten the ember barbs to spawn, please let me know. They are an omnivore. They eat a little bit of everything. Richard says, whoa, Alex, I just did a little pea puffer experiment with the Badis, and 3 months ago, 0 aggression came across species. I've found the same thing. Now, I don't want to lead anyone astray. Keep an eye on it while it's new, while they're new together, but I've really found the same to be true. I've put Badis with some pretty mean other fish. I've even put them with the pistos and not had any issue. Because they hold their own. They chase off anything. Now, you're not going to breed them like that, but still. Okay, so the interesting thing is that Africa doesn't have a ton of teeny little fish. That's kind of it. There's a few of the little glass catfish, but most of their tetras are also larger. So what's interesting to me, and this is my theory. If I had to postulate, because I'm making myself do so, not because anybody asked what I thought. It's that I think that the reason all these little teeny fish come from Southeast Asia is because that was an archipelago. Where you go from Malaysia to Thailand and Sri Lanka to India. A lot of those regions were archipelagos. And as the ice has come and gone and the river levels, the ocean levels have risen and fallen, the environment has changed a lot. And you get that island dwarfism thing happening, which is like resources are limited and there may only be one lake where they live for a while. And then all of a sudden it floods back out and maybe there's like thousands of miles where they can travel. And so they all split up, and then drought and everybody's cut off again. And then they have thousands of years or millions of years to evolve. Lake Inle is one of my favorite examples of that. But yeah, Southeast Asia has quite the array. You see the same thing in bettas. Why are there so many bettas in such a tight area? There's like 108 or something with the subspecies last I heard. So yeah, it's just really interesting to me. I was going to cover more Danio chopras and Tinwini Danios and the new Hikari Danios and stuff like that got their Latin name, and it was officially Hikari. They were thought to be two species, a blue species and a yellow species. Turned out it was just the male and the female, and they can change gender, sex, whatever you want to call it. Oh, interesting. Mick, he says, I spawned the Barboides gracilis in a plastic container with sand, guppy grass, pH 6.5, baby brine shrimp. Did you do anything to spark it? That's about what they're in right now. They've got Bulbitis hedulata and some crypts, and then they've got guppy grass and water lettuce and duckweed and some other stuff, but they have not spawned. They're in with shrimp currently. Maybe the shrimp are eating their eggs. I don't know. But I was going to cover those other Danios, but honestly, there are so many freaking Danios and Danio variants now that I'm going to save that for another night. You know, because there's too many, and we've gone an hour and a half on this. But do we have any last minute questions, thoughts, concerns, any ideas? Boy, I look like Smeagol with my hair. Hair looks like greasy. I hate that greasy hair look. It's just wet, guys. I'm not gross, I promise. Well, I'm gross, but not for those reasons. Yeah, Danio Chopre or Glow Light Danios are great. I mean, for several years, when the first 3 years of my channel, I was collecting Danios. I had like the Shanensis and the all the different rivers in Vietnam that have their own species of Danio, which is probably a lot more now. Just in the last 3 years, Professor Wong, there may be many Professor Wongs, I would guess. Can I say anything about Giant Danio? They're a lot more aggressive. They need room to run. If you give them room to run and you give them at least 12 fish, they're way less aggressive. But, you know, Kaifit Danio, Pearl Danio, Zebra Danio, Leopard Danio, Hillstream Danios, or those Hillstream Trouts, as they're sometimes called, those are all a little nippy. They're about like an Odessa barb or a tiger barb or a cherry barb. It's not like they're killers, but they will like nip at long-finned, a betta, for instance, that's in their tank, in like a 40 breeder, like your pearl or Sri Lankan Danios. Any of those kinds that I've mentioned, they will nip at the fins, especially if there aren't too many of them. They will pester the other fish, literally to the point where they have infections and other problems. Mick says, kept the Danianella, or the little ember Danios, kept them all alone, no filtration or aeration. Okay, that's me too. Adults mistakenly newly fed on fry for baby brine shrimp. Orange fry with baby brine shrimp in stomach. Oh, interesting. Okay. Well, I'll just keep at it. I don't know. Maybe I'll move tanks, switch them out of the tanks they're in, and swap tanks. Man, right now my Turkana jewel cichlids are like blood red. They're so red. And this isn't the pair that spawned yet, but they've been making a little nest right here. So I think they're gonna too. Oh, you just heard your Sunda Danio, which is an island off in Indonesia. Sunda Danio axelrodi croaking. I didn't know they croaked, honestly. I knew that the croaking gouramis, there's like 4 or 5 species, but I knew that like sparkling gouramis, croaking gouramis, and chocolate gouramis all have a little thing to make noise in their throat. But that's interesting. Trying to breed a group of spanner T-barbs. Do local fish stores even honor special orders? Yeah, I mean, you have to know them. They're probably not going to just order it in if they don't know you, unless maybe you throw some cash down. But if you go in there and buy stuff frequently, like Petco and PetSmart are never going to do that. But I mean, your local fish store has probably has every distributor list that where they could get a hold of those. Those aren't rare fish. You know, I'd just go to the wet spot. You know, they seem to carry those frequently. Yeah. So let's see here. Multi-stripe crew. I want to do loaches with my Celebes rainbows, but what should I Celebes rainbows, what should I choose? I have Indian multi-stripe loaches, Coolie loaches, and hill stream. Oh, those are all do fine. The Borneo loach is another great one. That one's totally peaceful, stays out of the way. The reticulated hill stream loach is another really good one. Don't go for like yo-yo loaches, zebra loaches, border loaches, but the multi-striped border loach is okay. The multi-striped dwarf loach, as it's called, or multi-banded dwarf loach, that's a great one. Real peaceful. It's got cute little whiskers, and it's pretty stunning looking. Yeah. Yeah, the chocolate gouramis, that's where I got my chocolate gouramis, is the wet spot. You know, I bought some from Aquatic Arts when they had them, but they haven't had them for a long time. And I always give a shout out to Aquatic Arts. I love what they do, but since they've been building their new place and new warehouse, and then there was the New Year's, and most fish places kind of cut back the order for them. So right now they should be gearing back up, and hopefully, we were talking about doing a collaboration where they brought in lake inlay species. So we were going to do like rummy nose rasboras and like the Sabla resplendens, and then erythromicrons, and also we were going to do the celestial pearl danios and the red-tailed lake inlay loaches, which are real fun. Yeah, so hopefully we still do that. I've still got the tank waiting right here, the 90 long. So it's waiting to be scaped, and I'm kind of waiting to be honest, I'm waiting for a sponsor for it. So somebody who wants to supply the fish, and I'll give them a shout out. But I wanted to do something interesting, not just another community tank. Like I want to do a biotope, or I want to do something aquascapingly interesting. So depending on if anybody takes an interest, but that's kind of what I've been holding off. I mean, I've got almost 30 tanks running right now here anyways. Clown barbs, I'd stay away from, but yeah. Alex, are all quarries under 3 inches safe to keep with nano fish? Probably. The only thing is you don't want to keep quarries in a 5-gallon tank if you've got like 6 quarries in a 5-gallon tank. 1, you'll stunt their growth, but 2, unless they're Habrosus pygmaea or Histatus, those 3, they can self-poison. And when one does it, another one will do it. And they have toxins that are pretty potent for releasing in the water to fish. And so they can kill themselves in a small tank. They'll do it more so in shipping, but they can do it in a small tank too. But most quarries will stay well under 3 inches anyways. Most max out at like maybe 2 with their tail. If you get into the brochus, then some of those get pretty big though. Like 4.5 inches maybe. But yeah, I would say the quarries are pretty much fine. I've kept them with Phoenix rasboras. I've kept them with Kubota rasboras, ember tetras, pretty much all the small stuff. Quarries are not hunters. They are definitely, hey, Aquaball, sweet. Thank you, man. Yeah, maybe I will take you up on some angels. Well, guys, it's been a great evening. We've had a lovely time, haven't we? Yes, we have. But thanks for joining me. I've got new content up. The thumbnails are a little clickbaity, but I promise they're still really educational. Just trying to play that algorithm game a little bit, because honestly, I want to keep doing this full time. And with the surgery and stuff that I have coming on, you know, got to kind of work the system a little bit, stay afloat. And so, yeah, Mark, yes, the talk by the talk that they had Aquarium Co-op had what is his name? It's gonna bug me. I'm friends with him, and I'm totally spacing on his name. I look like a big jerk. Chris, is it? Thomas, is it? Eric Thomas. Eric Thomas. Yeah, he's somebody. There's a whole story that goes along with it. He came to town to Seattle, and I wanted to interview him, and he was totally cool with it. My club didn't want me to pester him about YouTube stuff, quote unquote. This was 4 years ago now, when he had just written the biggest paper he did on the Cori toxins, the Coridora ones, and they're all different toxins, which is fascinating. And so I got to talk with him, and he came onto a stream and answered questions back then, but I wasn't allowed to film him while he was here on Club Business because they paid for the plane flight and they didn't want him to. And then the similar thing happened recently, and I think he got paid to do, you know, the Aquarium Co-op Club talk thing. But I'm trying to bring you guys those same talks for free. But I'm just going to leave it at, sometimes it's not as simple as, hey, dude, we're friends. Can you give this talk? A lot of times they sign a thing saying that they won't do talks for certain things or in certain areas for a certain amount of time and whatnot. So, yeah, it's kind of a crazy world to book guests. But I am in this year trying to book a lot more guests because over the last 5 years, I've gotten to know quite a few different professors and interesting folks. You're all interesting folks, but yeah, so if you know any professors or biologists that work with anything regarding the hobby who have peer-reviewed published work, I would love to speak with them. They're more than welcome to speak with me, and then maybe we can work out something on the show. Yeah, it's all about learning here. I just, you know, I want to make this as close to a resource, college grade educational resource as possible for free. And if you can, throw in $1.99 a month as a member for a little while if you can. If you can't, no guilt, no stress, no worries. All right, guys. Well, I am going to get out of here. But hey, BJ Palmer, what's up? I'm going to get out of here. But y'all have been great. It's been fun tonight. And I hope you have a wonderful Friday evening. Now go out and let's get some Badis in America. Let's make America Badis again. All right, guys. Thanks so much for tuning in, for the support. Lurkers, thanks for tuning in still. And, of course, replay crew, you guys holding it down in the replay land in the future. Time travelers, crazier than all of the others put together. All right, guys, I will talk to you later. Be back Tuesday, 4:30 p.m. Pacific time. And I'll be debating, zing, 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 Michael from Michael's Fish Room over on the East Coast, over in Philly, or New Jersey, actually, but outside of Philly. We'll be debating, do fish have feelings? I think you guys can guess what my side of the argument will be. His is, no, they're stupid. They don't have feelings. So, yeah. All right, guys. But I will be using peer-reviewed articles as part of my case. So it'll be educational. Even if you think fish don't have feelings at the end, and I don't change your mind in any way, that's fine. But you will learn some cool stuff about their intelligence that's come out. Mandy M, welcome so much. Welcome. We've got a new member. Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. You rock. You rock, you roll. And that's the end of that story. So welcome. And check out the community tab. Now that you're a member, there's more stuff available to you. All right, guys, have a wonderful evening. I will talk to you all later. 7 Mile, bye. Ray Roman, bye. And did I miss anybody else? Oh, Mark became a member too. Mark Sturluson. Slow, dramatic clap as if we were at a presidential event. Thank you so much, buddy. I appreciate it. That it always helps. I mean, even just $1.99 for me, even though YouTube takes and then taxes take it, it's basically $1.30 from each person or $1.25 from each person that I can count on each month, and it tells me ahead of time that's coming in, and that adds up with, you know, a few thousand people tuning in, and it's magical. It can do great things, and if you guys ever have something I can cover for you guys that you feel like is lacking from my channel, a history story that you find interesting or you just would like to know more about, or that you want to share with us, like as a group, you know, that would be great. Maybe one night we'll have like you guys can come up and share your favorite piece of fish history or fish trivia or something like that. I don't know. Well, we'll think about doing something like that. But what I mean to say is just that I can't do this without you guys, and you all mean a lot to me. So thanks for tuning in. Have a great evening. Bye, guys.